I'm getting ready to talk to a young brother from Los Angeles, Brother Tory. His response to activism and the need to really support Black lives has been to organize regular people, celebrities, and others to ride bikes in support of Black life. But his movement is not simply riding bikes and making noise. He wants it to become sustainable. He wants it to be supportive of younger people growing up in the neighborhood. As I call myself a retired activist, I want to stay on the field, but on the sidelines, coaching, nurturing, supporting, and helping these young people who are really carrying the baton during this stage of the race. In my case, I felt hypocritical because I kept having to go to people that I called the enemy to fund my work. If I was going to protest you, I need you to give me some money to protest you.
Right.
And in my mind, it was like, how come all the wrong people have the money and all the righteous people are broke? You want a sense of what success looks like. How do you measure success?
So our goal within this is to provide bikes to inner city youth as a means of a mental escape and also to improve their physical fitness. So this is something that we're trying to come up with a set number of bikes to be able to give out. And then at the same time, voter registration is a major part. So we've been in talks with a couple different initiatives to try to have people out there registering people to vote.
This whole thing about bicycles, I mean, what you're talking about, the deeper you go, the more profound it is.
When I had a bike growing up, my bike was, a Walmart bike that I got, and it was to bring me from my house down to the park. It wasn't something that I looked at as, or anybody probably looked at as a form of, physical fitness or anything like that. It's not. Wasn't trying to go miles. I didn't have the proper bike knowledge. These top bike brands weren't marketing to me. They didn't care about me. I mean, we had a Huffy. Maybe you had a GT or a Dyno or one of the, the more fancy BMX bikes, but it's a rarity for a kid growing up in those neighborhoods to, hop on a bike and say, hey, all right, I'm going to go 20 miles away from my house. And you got kids that grew up in New Jersey that have never been to New York City, but you could ride there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bike is really for a kid, like getting on a bike and then, removing your training wheels is really like the first, sign of freedom, And that's when you realize the constraints that we have around us that are mental and not so much actual, physical boundaries. So one of the things that I rediscovered was that childlike love for riding. And then also with more information and being exposed to more things, I'm realizing like, okay, there's a bike lane on this street. So, the knowledge that I'm achieving is allowing me to go further and further and further where, I still have people from back home who are looking like, damn, like, you rode 40 miles like that. They can't even compute that. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about providing a means of transportation for young guys for recreation. You're talking about health and fitness. You're talking about potentially part-time jobs, because it may be that if in a given city, companies are saying, we want to offer internships and jobs, the bike becomes the way to get there. You're talking about affordability because you don't have to buy gasoline. With the older bikers, what I was thinking is mentoring. I mean, one of my guys is one of the top Black human resources executives in the country. He's an avid biker. If I told him there was some young Black guys, who want to get into biking, there's an organization that's giving them bikes, he would donate to the organization. He'd be a mentor to one of the young guys that you give bikes to. I mean, you can build a whole movement around biking so that you start out with this theme, but you build it into a monster institution. You can become the United Way of biking.
That's where our vision is right now. There are a lot of people riding bikes. There are a lot of people using bikes as a form of activism. But our whole thing has been like, okay, where do we go from here? Exactly. And that's why we incorporated the giving bikes out, and then also teaching bike knowledge, education, and then also the health and wellness aspect of it. With because it's one thing to be physically active, but it's a whole nother thing to understand what you're putting into your body. And I think that all kind of like adds to the quality of life for underserved youth and underserved communities. So that's what we want to be, and that's what we wish to be. So while a lot of these other groups, are doing amazing work, a lot of them are focused on the movement right now and not necessarily sustainability and how they can make a bigger impact. And that's why we're going to different cities. I mean, we're coming to New York City August 23rd, and that will be our first outside of the state. So
you're not riding your bikes from California to New York.
No, we're not doing that this time, but that's something that
praise the Lord.
We're going to eventually do a coast-to-coast ride where we put out a route, and then we allow people in different states to meet us along the route to be able to ride with us. And then ultimately we'll connect the coast like that. Yeah. So
I'm very impressed with your passion. I'm proud of your focus, and I think your strategy has unlimited potential in every way, and anything I can do to help, I'll be happy to do it.
This movement is on the back of individuals such as yourself. So I don't know it all. I'm trying to soak up game, and I'm trying to give the game to those that come after me. So like you said, it's a collaborative effort, and I'm just appreciative that I'm in a position to make any sort of impact.
What about a salary, though? I mean, do you envision yourself one day having a check every couple of weeks from something? I just took my bike to the shop yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, it's been sitting still for about 15 years. So I'm getting it tuned up. I'm getting it tuned up, getting some new tires, but I'm not riding to New York, I promise you. I will drive to New York and say hi. But I'm not riding from New Jersey to New York.
No, I wouldn't expect that. But come get a couple miles in with us.
Yeah, but man, listen, you're on to something big. I'll give you more ideas than you can handle. But more importantly, I'll give you help. I'm not going to give you an idea that I won't help you implement.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching For the Culture. If you missed any of our segments, you can go back and watch some of our conversations. We've spoken with Malcolm X, with Kwame Ture, with others who are less famous, but we're trying to do our part to contribute to both an understanding and the potential based on what our culture has been and based on what our culture can become.